Hey everybody, it's SaskiaSketches and welcome to the new video. I'll be honest, it's late, but I want to record this now because spoiler alert, I'm not doing too hot at the time of recording this, but I had a really fun week, so I want to talk about that and have fun. So yeah, let's get on into it. Friday. Just gonna read my notes as per usual. Friday apparently wasn't as fun. Let's see. I started with some stomach issues and I was in bed for most of the day. I felt guilty about skipping lunch, but I did subtitle half an episode of Metabots and I went for a walk. I had a movie night. And I drew my new Metabot character and accidentally stayed up until 3 AM reading parts of an old Metabots roleplay. So, yeah. If you hadn't noticed last week, Metabots has taken over my life. Yeah, hyper-focusing on a special interest is a special kind of beast. But at least I'm having loads of fun with it. So this is my new Metabots character. His name is Solstice, and I am very, very happy with his design. I'll talk a little bit more about him when I finish him. I think that's the next day. But yeah, he's really cool, and I'm very happy with how he turned out. Yeah, this old Metabots RP is going to it's going to play a role this week, the week that follows. Yeah, so basically we're in, I think, 2019, 2020, like somewhere around the time that I got back into Metabots and was like really, really excited about it. I found somebody who was also really excited about Metabots, and we decided to write a roleplay together, and that went on for a while, I think at least a year. So I just accidentally stayed up really late just reading, just old parts, rereading it, because I rediscovered this friend's Instagram, because I lost their username, so I just gotten out of touch with them, but I rediscovered their username, and then they were able to let me back into the Discord server where we had the old RP, and it's really cool. And we just ended up talking about Metabots, and I ended up rereading stuff, and we decided, I think the next day or the day after that, to do a reboot of the roleplay. So now we are basically rewriting the whole series together, with a couple of our original characters inserted in, and it's so exciting. It's so much fun I stayed up so late, rewriting the timeline and everything. It was so cool, and it's been really, really fun, and I'm enjoying it a lot. But it started there. I was just reading, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta ask if they want to do another roleplay because it's so much fun. Yeah, then Saturday, I was determined to eat 3 full meals today, and I did, so that was great. Proud of myself for that one. I subtitled more Metabots, I read a lot, and I finished Solstice's design and the drawing. Stayed up late again, but not as late as yesterday. Progress, something is better than nothing, which is good. I didn't stay up as late, I think probably 1 AM or something. Still pretty late, but not as late. Solstice, look at him. I have his whole backstory and everything all planned out, and I'm so excited to write more about him in the fanfic and also in the RP. And I'm just, oh goodness gracious, I love his design. So as you remembered last week if you watched the video, Snow is my other Metabot character, and I designed her way back in 2018, so she's a really old OC. And I just redesigned her a little bit last week, which was really fun. But I got the itch to design a new Metabot, and I wanted to design Solstice as the complete opposite of Snow. So basically it's just in color scheme alone you can tell his main parts are black, and his accents are a sunset color theme. So Snow is kind of inspired by ice and by blue hour, and then solstice is inspired by like fire and the sun, and by like dusk, golden hour, etc. So I just, gosh, he's so cool, and I'm so happy with his design. He's so I did a couple sketches as well, just to like thumbnail sketches to like figure out what I wanted for him, and I eventually like so I knew I wanted just something knight-like, because I really like enjoyed the shape of like a helmet, so I wanted to do something with that, like a really unique head shape like that. And then I was thinking something more tanky, and then I stumbled upon or like I remembered a centaur Medabot, and like I like that there's a couple of them that have like this centaur body type, and I just remembered that existed and was like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. So I designed him like that, and then it all came together, and I'm so excited about his design. I think in terms of personality, he's also a little bit different to Snow, because Snow's very like intense, and like she communicates very strongly and openly, and Solstice is a lot more shy and really sweet. But he'll, like, over the course of his character arc, he will become more resilient and stand up for himself more, and he's really, I love him so much. I'm so excited about this character. Yeah, then Sunday, I edited a bit for YouTube, and I went for a walk. I filled in a reflection exercise. I read for a while, and I fell asleep because I was so exhausted. Then I watched some YouTube. I sketched for an art trade, design trade, which is for another Medabot, believe it or not. Oh goodness, this friend that I'm doing this RP with also has like a Medabot character, like an original Medabot OC, and they asked me if I wanted to design the Medabot for them, because they like weren't exactly sure how they wanted it to look, and I said yes, absolutely. So we're doing the art trade now, and it's so excited. It's so exciting. I'm so excited. I haven't really gotten around to like finishing this yet, but I am so hyped to finish it. So I just did a couple sketches for this, and I subtitled more Medabots, and then I wrote more Medabots fan fiction. I don't know if you can tell, but this maybe we need to put if I wasn't as exhausted, I would put a Medabots counter on screen and just count every time I said the word Medabots. How about a cute, fun comment game? Like, how about you guys in the comments count how often I've said Medabots this video, and you can let me know how often it was. Yeah, then Monday. So yeah, with the same friend, I think I mentioned this last week as well, or maybe I didn't. Anyway, with this same friend, I'm also writing a story about two dogs, also like a roleplay kind of situation about two dogs escaping a dog fighting ring together, a little bit like the Plague Dogs, which is, gosh, the Plague Dogs is such a, like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's an incredible story. It's very, very dark, but as somebody who like suffers chronic pain, suffers endless chronic pain, etc., it's such a beautifully relatable story, and it really helps, like it really, not necessarily like encourages me, but it grapples with some of the questions that I grapple with in terms of like endless pain and endless suffering and meaningless pain and suffering. So that's a really, really interesting story. There's this beautiful video essay that I highly recommend by I forgot the essayist's name, but I think it's Cardinal, Red Cardinal, something like that. I'll like link it below. Go watch that because it's an incredible YouTube video. Anyways, so with the same friend, I'm writing a story that's a little bit more hopeful, but it's like inspired by the Plague Dogs and stuff, and I wrote part of my reply for that one, and I subtitled more Medabots, and I went for a walk. There was a lot of rain. I read a book. I designed a D&D character, and I wrote more Metabots fanfiction. I couldn't sleep because of something that is a little bit less fun. But this D&D character, I've been wanting to do more D&D because I used to do a lot of D&D a couple years ago when I was still in school and stuff, and I really enjoyed it, and I've been wanting to get back into it for a while. And now my old group is doing a one-shot, so I made a new character for that, and I'm just so excited about that. My character is one of those like children that was abandoned in a forest and raised by wolves, so I'm very excited about like writing about her and her like huge wolf companion. So that's going to be very fun. I haven't decided yet if the wolf is going to be like a parent figure or like a sibling figure. I don't know which is going to be funnier yet. I think the sibling will be more chaotic, but we'll see. Yeah. This also is a little bit less fun, and I don't know how much I want to touch on this, but the reason I couldn't sleep is because I was just compelled to think about some less fun things, and I want to give I think I do want to touch on this a little bit. I want to give a trigger warning for suicide. Just mention of it, discussion of it, and of the impact that it has. Is because over the course of the past two-ish couple years, I've lost two people to suicide. One was a childhood friend of mine, and another was a person I was in therapy with, group therapy with. And I don't know why, but I felt very suddenly that night I felt very much affected by the loss of them, and especially by the person that I lost from group therapy, because he suffered a pain as well, chronic pain, and it, obviously I don't know exactly why, but it was bothering him a lot, and I imagine that might have been part of the reason. And I don't know, like, it's not like I was ultra close with him or anything, but I do, I remember looking up to him a lot, and I still do look up to him a lot, and it was hard to just hearing about it was hard, and going to the rest of group therapy without him was hard. I haven't been in this group therapy for a while now, a couple months, but for some reason it just like really hit me that night that he's gone, and I was just hoping and praying that there's no pain on the other side and that he's okay now. Yeah. His name was Otto. On a Tuesday morning, I drew a little bit of vent art. This was about trying to save something that is long gone. During that morning, I was laying in bed, and I got this very striking visual in my mind of like trying to haul a skeleton out of the water and like performing CPR on it, like trying to resurrect it and save it, but it's a skeleton, like it's very long gone and dead, and there's no way that you're going to be able to resurrect it at that point. This was about a lost friendship. It's also I think half a year ago, about maybe a little bit longer. I had a very, very important friendship of mine just like ended because the friend didn't really like want to be friends anymore. And it was very, very nasty the way that it ended. And then a couple months later, I heard that they'd been talking about me behind my back for like a year when we were still friends, and saying some pretty nasty, gnarly stuff about me. And I don't know why. I still don't know why. Because all I was trying to do was be the best friend that I could. But yeah. I couldn't believe that, you know, for a while that the friendship was lost. And I was trying for a good amount of time, for a good chunk, to keep that friendship going, to resurrect it every time that something happened. But you know, eventually I was stuck holding a skeleton out of the water. Yeah, I wrote another section for the doc story, and I finished the Metabots fanfiction chapter. I pre-watched Metabots for the movie night that we're going to have later. I did have lots of anxiety this day. I made a lot of progress on the YouTube video, and I had the movie night, and I did more YouTube editing. Yeah, so the movie nights have been really fun. We finished the Land Before Time films, which is just crazy because there's a lot of them. Like, we watched almost all of them. We watched 13 out of 14 of them. And it's been really, really fun. I've been enjoying it so much, and it's kind of sad that now, like, we've watched all of them, because what are we going to watch now? Next up is going to be Night in the Museum, so that's going to be really fun. But we are still watching one Metabots episode after every, at the end of every movie night, so it's going to be really fun to you know, keep on chugging through Metabots and watch more films, and I'm just so happy to be spending such like good quality time with this friend so often every week. It makes me really happy, and I'm so excited about that. Then Wednesday I had a doctor's appointment. This doctor's appointment was just a regular checkup. It wasn't anything big, but the thing about it is that now that I've moved back in with my parents, I've had to you know, get a new general practitioner, and so this was just a routine checkup with this one, and just, you know, unfortunately they again couldn't do anything for me. They felt very sorry for me. They also asked, like, I asked about if there was anything that they could give me for like pain relief, and they said no, unfortunately. Because of all like the other issues, like MCAS especially, like it responds very poorly to medication, so painkillers not really an option for me, unfortunately, especially not long term. It's just, and then she asked how I felt about paracetamol, and I thought that she was asking like how much pain does paracetamol cause me, and I'm like, yeah, it just depends on the like which like brand is it, what tablet is it, etc. And she's just like, no, I meant how much pain relief does it give you, and I'm like, oh, nothing. So yeah, there's that. I think like my perception of medication is just like completely altered to the point of how much pain does my medication cause me instead of how much pain does my medication relieve. Like I wish I could take meds. I also finished a YouTube video and I went for a walk. I cleaned and sculpted the animal figurines. I don't know if you remember this from like the first video that I made, the first like journal entry, I guess. I was cleaning some animal figurines, like the little plastic ones. I was cleaning them off, trying to get the paint off so that I could customize them and stuff. So I tried to do the rest of that, which is again with the nail varnish remover, and it was working really well, but it was working too well because I was doing it with a toothbrush, but the the varnish remover was like just completely murdering the toothbrush. So if you look closely, you can see me just like plucking hairs from the toothbrush until the toothbrush was just dead. Like all the hairs had fallen out. Unfortunate, because the toothbrush was working really well for like scraping the paint off. But yeah, I managed to clean like most of the paint off the figures, and what I did is I just added some like some clay, just some air dry clay, because I don't want to put these in the oven, to like sculpt these into my characters. I haven't like done all of them yet. I've just like worked on one of them, which is my character Frost. I'm gonna make out of this one, but Frost has like quite a couple scars, so I really wanted to add those scars, and I managed to sculpt them on, and I think it looks really cool, and I'm super excited to paint her when that is finally going to be happening. And I stayed up like way late constructing a Metabots timeline. This is for the reboot for the Metabots roleplay, but also for my fanfiction. I just went through like everything I remembered and everything that was on the wiki, and just like typed all the like the important plot points out, and the all the like the lore elements that are important. And I also like, I didn't just clean. I didn't just write everything down as it was, but I just cleaned up a little bit as well, and like, because I imagine quite a few things might have gotten lost in translation. So like the plot of Metabots is a little bit muddy, but I just cleaned it up a little bit, and like took out some characters, combined some characters and stuff like that, just to like condense it down a little bit more. And that was really fun. I enjoyed that a lot, but I stayed up way late doing it. I think it was another 3 a.m. Oops. Then Thursday, I spent all day role-playing Metabots with the friend. I had so much fun this day. Oh goodness gracious, this was so much fun. Yeah, I did some more Metabots subtitling, and I also worked on the new YouTube video. I haven't smiled this much, that's been this excited since Pokemon Legends Arceus came out. I've just been so happy about Metabots. This is what happens when hyperfocus and special interest intersect. Like, I mentioned this, like, Legends Arceus was, when this game came out, I was just so, like obsessed with it. Like, it was definitely, like, a hyperfocus, on a special interest, because Pokemon is another special interest of mine, and I was just so hyper focused on this game. This game has still has me in a chokehold. Like, I love this game so much, and I enjoy playing it so much. Like, I could just, if you gave me a day to just play Legends Arceus, I would just be content doing that. And I did for like, when I first got that game, I played non-stop for like a week. I was so excited and so happy about it, and I just, again, this is giving me that same feeling. I'm just so excited, like, just thinking about so many, like, just story ideas and character arcs, and like and character designs, and I'm so excited about this, and I just I can't stop thinking about it, and it's making me really happy, and it's giving me lots of energy, so that's just really welcome, and I'm so excited about that. I am also just like a little bit unsure, but I'll like talk about this a little bit later. I'm just gonna move on to the additional thoughts, because I am feeling, have been feeling a little bit like guilty about it as well, because I've been feeling guilty about not writing more of the traumatic stuff down, because it's almost done, but it's not all there yet, and I haven't finished it yet. I haven't like been putting it off or anything, but I haven't been feeling inclined to write about it yet, so I haven't been doing it. And I also wasn't like very satisfied with the YouTube video that I posted last week, because I felt like I was just too all over the place. And I wanted to explain everything more clearly, because, I was touching on a lot of stuff there, like, I wanted to talk more about the quote-unquote religious indoctrination, and like my faith journey, and that it hasn't all been like this painful and awful, because, I get a lot out of my faith, and my faith is very important to me. And I wanted to talk about conscious versus discernment and how that feels and works. And I also wanted to talk more about emotions and what I've learned in therapy. And I wasn't happy with the video because it wasn't perfect, and I think that's what it boils down to. This is also, you know, I was feeling this as well whilst I was recording it and whilst I was making it, but I posted it anyway because I want to become okay with putting out subpar stuff, because I'm still putting out stuff, right? Like, that is the most important thing to me right now, is that I'm getting back into the habit of posting regularly and making stuff regularly, because I just want that so badly, and it doesn't really have to be perfect or like up to my super high standards that shouldn't be this high, but that are this high. I just want, you know, to make stuff, and it doesn't have to be perfect, and journal entries don't have to be perfect, and some days and some weeks are going to be better, and some days and weeks are going to be worse, and that's okay. I just want to be authentic, and I can't be authentic if I'm perfect. So yeah, but I do want to, you know, later, I don't think this time, but later I want to talk about you know, my faith journey and everything that, you know, is that I've been through over the many years that I've been a Christian. And I also want to talk about the, you know, everything I've learned in therapy and emotions and everything, because that's also important to me. But I don't think this is the video for that yet. That is going to happen some other time as well, but it's important, I think. Yeah, I also wanted to talk about yeah, I feel insecure about reading/writing, about reading out loud. Sorry, I said that weirdly. I felt insecure about reading out loud because I read a section of my my Metabots fan fiction in the last video, but I felt insecure about it because this ties like all the way back to primary school, where I was pressured so much about reading out loud that I felt very, very nervous and insecure about it for years to come. And apparently that's still something that bothers me. Yeah, so this is an interesting feeling because I'm immediately inclined to be like, oh, why would I need to care about what like my teachers from way back when I was like, I don't know, like 8, you know, why would I need to care that my teachers didn't think that I was good at reading out loud? Why would that still bother me? But it still bothers me, and this is maybe I am going to get into emotions and stuff, but one thing that I've very much learned is that when I was younger, because of all the I don't know if I've ever mentioned this actually, but when I was younger during primary school, I was bullied a lot and pretty severely, and one thing that I learned through that is how to suppress my emotions and how to you know, push my emotions away and not feel my emotions. And I am still dealing with the consequences of that. So, one thing that I've learned as I've started to pay more attention to my emotions and accept my emotions more through, for example, the reflection exercise, is that I'm starting to unlock or like wedge loose old festering emotions. So there's a lot of emotion that I suppressed when I was younger that is coming back up now, because now I am like untangling stuff with the, you know, trauma and things, and I am digging into everything that is you know, still bothering me from when I was younger, and I've found that a lot of quote-unquote small things still bother me a lot, and this is one of those things. And here's I like how I said I don't think this is going to be the episode for like explaining my whole like perception of emotions, but here we go. The way that I've learned, you know, things I've learned in therapy is that emotions are there for a reason, and that reason is to communicate to you. So emotions, basically the way that I try to visualize it is as a postman that has a parcel for you, and in this parcel there is a message. So this postman comes up to your door, knocks on the door, and what the postman wants is for you to open the door and accept the message, and do something with the message. So what I learned is, when somebody knocks on the door and when somebody rings the doorbell, I'm not opening the door. So what this postman, is just standing in front of the door knocking, but I'm not opening. What's this postman going to do? It's going to keep knocking. It's going to knock harder until I open the door. But I am very persistent and I'm not opening the door. So what the postman does next is the postman goes away. But the postman comes back the next day and starts knocking again. So I learned to ignore all that knocking and all the ringing of the doorbell and everything, and just not accept any parcels unless I personally felt like it. So maybe a parcel that is about happiness, or a parcel that I felt like made sense for me to feel. That's when I would take it and do something with it. So basically what has happened is this postman has so many parcels for me that I didn't take or didn't open, and all those parcels are still in the truck. And what is happening now that I'm starting to open the door more often and taking on more parcels is that the postman is starting to deliver old parcels as well. So now I'm taking on old parcels as well as new parcels. And as I am taking on bit by bit old things, I'm looking at them, seeing the message and working through them, unpacking the parcel, and eventually throwing the box away. So emotions are there to communicate to you. There's like a load of different things that emotions can communicate and want to communicate, but loosely you have happiness is for telling you what you care about and telling you and helping you connect with other people, because like for example with the Metabots stuff, Metabots makes me really happy, so I connect with this friend over it. I just want to share something that makes me happy. And then sadness is about helping you work through loss and grief and stuff, and sadness is about helping you I guess like come to terms with things and process pain and stuff like that. So it's a very important emotion. Anger is about your boundaries being crossed. So you get, if you think about it, when you get angry, it's about either somebody has wronged you or like something isn't going your way. Your boundaries are being crossed, and your anger is letting you know, hey, somebody's crossing your boundaries, or something is crossing your boundaries. Careful, like take care of yourself. And anger is also that's why anger is such an emotion that really like pushes you and pushes you to move and to act. It's because you need to protect yourself in that moment. Then what else is there? Breaking news: autistic girl struggles to name all the emotions. Shame is another one. Shame is about protecting you. This is one that has been super big for me because of all the bullying. I'm dealing with a lot of shame, and so shame is one of those emotions that I really have a hard time dealing with, and used to have a really hard time dealing with. Now it's getting a little bit easier for me, but that everybody has these moments. There's this meme about it where you're lying in bed and you're trying to sleep, and then your brain is like, hey, remember this thing that you said like years ago that was really embarrassing? I feel like I cracked the code, but I know how to deal with this now and how to make sure those memories don't come back. So basically what that is the postman trying to deliver an old parcel, because hey, way back when this memory happened, you didn't take on the parcel. What happened is you felt so ashamed and so awful that you pushed that shame away because you didn't want to feel ashamed. You pushed your shame away so much that the postman went away, but then is coming back later to deliver the parcel. And the more you push it away, the more times the postman's going to come back to deliver the parcel. But the way to deal with it is to take the parcel, and it's really, really scary because, you don't want to think about it, you cringe too much, but when you sit with that shame and you sit with that feeling, and you really accept it, and you don't even have to agree with it or anything, you just have to feel it, and it's really hard, but if you can do it, you'll process the memory, you'll take the parcel on, and the postman won't need to keep coming back. So it's really hard in the moment, but for the long term, it solves so much. It solves so much. Like, just taking on these parcels has been so important to me, and been so very helpful about dealing with all of this, like, pent up emotion, and it's been very, very, very helpful. So I highly recommend trying to do that, and you can start with that with the reflection exercise. That is something that helps a lot with that, because there's this little, like, acknowledge section, if you remember, that is specifically for that. There's probably one more emotion that I'm forgetting about. Happiness, sadness, anger, shame. What else? Oh yeah, just about shame anyways. It's to protect you. This sounds weird because it feels really awful. But for me, what I've learned is that everything that I feel and felt ashamed about is something that I would have gotten bullied for, like, really badly. So that shame is there to discourage me from exhibiting that behavior, because that behavior would have gotten me in danger, quote unquote, or like in trouble, it wouldn't have been good for me. So it's trying to protect me from that. The only thing is that my system has now been reprogrammed to consider, all those things still shameful, even though I'm no longer getting bullied. Fear is the other emotion. How could I forget about fear? This is the one that I struggle with the most. Fear is also, like, pretty self-explanatory, right? Like, fear is there to protect you as well. Like, that's why, the fight, flight, freeze, fawn response comes from there. It's literally to secure your physical safety, but also your mental safety. I don't remember exactly where I was going with this, but emotions. This is my everything that I've been learning in therapy about emotions, and it's been very helpful. Maybe it's helpful for you, yeah. What else did I write down? About the reading, that's right. Like, so, that's it. It's coming back to me. We're going full circle. The reading. This is another old parcel. The shame and the sadness that I felt about the adults in my life when I was, like, tiny, and being disappointed in me because I couldn't read out loud. Little Saskia had so much trouble with that she couldn't accept that feeling, and she pushed it away. And so now it's coming up again for me, current time Saskia, old Saskia, adult Saskia, to deal with it. And now I have the tools to do that, so I can do that for her. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to say, hey, I feel and felt shame, and I feel and felt sad, because I wanted the adults in my life to think that I was doing a good job, because my self-worth was tied to my performance, because my self-worth was beaten down so severely by the bullying that I had to find some way to make the adults in my life happy, or like to find some sort of self-worth, and that became performing for me, and so it was very painful for me whenever I was not able to do a good job, and so the reading is hard for me. It was hard for me then. It was hard for me to do a subpar job and to not get the grades that I wanted, and it's hard for me now because it was hard for me then. So I welcome this feeling of shame and this feeling of sadness, because it's only trying to protect me and it's only trying to communicate to me. So I welcome these feelings and I'll sit with them. And it's going to be painful. And it's okay. And I'm going to keep reading out loud. I think I don't want to pressure myself to do every video, but I do want to keep reading out loud and to keep working through it. And keep inviting this feeling and allowing it to convey to me whatever message it is that I wanted to convey then, so that I can accept it now, and so that the postman can have done its job. Yeah, I am excited to work through that. I want to practice reading out loud for YouTube and hopefully get better at it. And I'm also feeling, I was also dealing with some guilt from the quote-unquote religious trauma about enjoying Medabots so much. This is also an interesting one. So I mentioned in the previous video is that these, Christian preachers, like they'll, to keep you coming back to church, they'll like convince you, or like they'll attack your self-worth, right? They'll attack things you love, things you enjoy, and they'll call the things that you enjoy idols. So if you have fun with anything at all that is not allowed, or if you like enjoy anything at all, it's not allowed. I think Moist Critical did a video on this about this, like a preacher that was going off about anime and video games and stuff. But basically, what they say is like, you're doing too much of this and you're enjoying this too much, when in actuality you should be devoting that time to God. And if you're not doing that, you're a bad Christian. So I remember when Legends of Arceus came out, I was dealing with the same thing. I was feeling very scared and guilty about enjoying something this much. When in reality, it's a blessing. It's a blessing from God, and it's meant to be enjoyed. And it's great that I'm enjoying something and having fun and smiling and being happy. That is great, and I'm so glad that I have that, and it's okay, and I'm allowed to have that. So this is not an idol. I am not sacrificing my relationship with God for like entertainment. I'm allowed to entertain myself and be entertained and have fun. And it feels good to take that back. But it's painful to realize just how much that hurt me, and that still hurts me. But it's okay. Yeah, then I guess my time walk this week was 24 minutes. It was a little bit less than last week, but what I did decide to do is to walk, to increase the time that I walk. I want to walk 9 minutes from now, because I feel like I'm not necessarily I'm ready yet to like to get back into walking 30, 20, 40 minutes every day, but I do want to slowly start increasing that number, and I feel like the time is right to put another minute on top, so I'm going to walk 9 minutes every time that I go out now. Yeah, it's late now, so it's dark, so I'm going to film the plant update tomorrow, and I'm just going to insert that here. Here's the plant update. So let's have a look at this precious banana plant of mine that is recovering from the thrips. Look at that. All these specks, if you can see them, are those little mites that are going after the thrips. So that is awesome. I'm super excited about that. They're doing their job very well, as well as they are as well for my little chestnut. I'll see if we can show a little bit of this. But they're on there and they're doing the job, which is awesome. I'm happy about that. They're also on here. These are like big piles of them. I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing something, and I'm good for them, I guess. Good for them. My palm is getting a new leaf. Right there, that spike you can see, that's a new leaf, new growth, which is awesome. And then this monstera leaf, I am very excited about. This is the new one. It's unfurling. I haven't seen any fenestrations yet, I don't think, but I'm so excited to see if this one has any, because that would be awesome. That would be very cool. I'm thinking it might get another new leaf soon, but we'll see about that. Then my pretty calathea is also doing well and getting new growth over here. And this new leaf was somewhere over here, I think. Yes. It's doing super well, putting out new growth, and I'm so excited about this. And it's looking super pretty still, so proud of that. It still has the these tips, but again, there's nothing really that you can do about that unless you live in like an ultra humid climate. I did discover this poor leaf. I don't know what happened to it. Maybe it already had it, but it looks like it's not spreading. It just looks like damage, so maybe I'll cut it off. But it looks so sad, but it's okay. Then maybe over here is getting new leaves, and we've been developing and still developing them, like last week, looking a lot bigger already. I'm super excited about that. Yeah, look at that, there's new growth as well. I love this plant so much. This one also getting the thrips treatment, the mites treatment. They're all over there doing their job, and I'm excited. This guy's doing well. Not much change about that, I think. And this guy, look at that. That leaf is even bigger than the last time. Look at that. But it's now starting to darken. So if you were to compare this to what it looked like in last week's video, you'll see that it looks a lot darker in color now. So I think that means it stopped growing. But oh my gosh, when, like, I still don't understand why this plant decided, you know what I need? I need a huge leaf. I need a huge leaf. But it did. And there it is. Yeah, and then the mystery of the variegated monstera is unfurling, and I'm thinking that this right here might be an alopecia. I'm still not sure. I don't know what it would be. This leaf is doing fantastically. It's looking super pretty, and I'm so excited about it. And yeah, that should also get some new growth sometime soon, hopefully, which is awesome. The peace lily, the poor peace lily. Oh my goodness, look at those flowers. They are not doing too hot, but it's okay. At least the leaves aren't dying off as much anymore, because they were at quite a rapid rate, but I pruned it back. And now I hope that once those flowers die off, that the leaves will start to grow back. And then the aglaonema is doing well as always. Right there is the new leaf. It's a little bit lighter than the rest of them, and it's looking awesome. Yeah, and little oak was over here, still doing well as well, hopefully. I mean, not much is happening with it, so I guess we'll see. And that was the plant update for this week. Yeah, then the song of the week is going to be Under the Weather by The River Cat, specifically the acoustic version, because I am, you know, this song has just been speaking to me. It's been just really, really sweet. And the way that I relate to this is not like necessarily about a romantic relationship, which is, I think, is what it's about. Because, you know, all music is about that, but, you know, the way that I relate to this is about my coping mechanisms, or like my, you know, maybe my enjoyment of Metabots, or like something that is helping me through feeling sad, or like, you know, my sickness and stuff, like something that helps me feel happy when I'm under the weather. And I'm basically, you know, under the weather all the time, every time, because chronic illness. But, you know, it's like a really sweet and happy, upbeat song about, you know, finding comfort in things, and, you know, people as well. And I also related to my relationship with God about, you know, feeling reassured and thankful for having things to help you through it when you're under the weather. And I think it's a really, really sweet song, and I would recommend checking it out. Yeah, then the comment of the week is going to go to TOYHOU.SE. And yeah, I am just so glad that you enjoy the videos, because I am having fun making them, and I don't know if like having fun is like the right word for it, because I am having fun, but it's also like been very heavy and stuff, but I think it's been fulfilling, and that's, I think, something I've been missing, and I'm very glad that it's been so fulfilling. And they also told, you know, I am also very thankful and glad that you think my plants are great, because I love my plants. My plants are awesome, and I am so happy to share them as well. And it's so cool to hear that you have houseplants as well, but I'm sorry to hear that they're infected with flies. Are they, are they like really, really small, like fruit flies? Because if so, they might be fungus gnats, and they're so annoying. I've had them infest my plants as well. But one thing I've found really helps with those is these microscopic worms. It sounds like really creepy, but they're like so small you can't even see them. You can buy these as like pest control. You can it just comes in like a powder form, and you can sprinkle it in some water, and you can stir it through and then water your plants with that. And what will happen is those like microscopic worms will like infest the soil. They don't do anything like they don't do any damage, but what they'll do is they'll eat the eggs of the nymphs and the larvae of the fungus gnats, and so they'll die out. And the worms, I think they're like active for like 6 weeks or something, and then they die as well. And it's a really clean and just hands-off way of getting rid of these infestations. And it's been just like ever since I like discovered using bugs to like get rid of bugs that are harming the plants, it's been very stress-free for me, because you know, I used to like spray everything down in neem oil and like check every plant vigorously every day to make sure there's no bugs and stuff. But it's so easy to just like put a bunch of bugs on the plants and have them take care of the problem. Like, that's so much easier. So if it's fungus gnats, highly recommend those like microscopic worm things. I'll have to like look up what they're called in English, but they're like if you look up I think like just natural pest control for houseplants, you should be able to find it, or like for fungus gnats in particular. Yeah, and you're welcome for sharing the reflection exercise, because it's important, and I did another one, and I think we're going to move on to sharing that one after the YouTube video that stuck with me this week. This one I didn't really like watch anything too thoughtful this week that I was like, oh yeah, this stuck with me, but I watched Mogul Mail's take on the the huge YouTuber drama that was happening, which then turned into an actual huge YouTuber drama. It was a little bit less less huge when that video came out, but it's turned into a whole controversy called ReactGate, and I had some thoughts on it, but it's like not that important, I guess. Just honestly, the only thing that I could think about is that whenever I watch a reaction video, what I do is I pull up the original video in an alternate tab and just mute that tab, so I watch the videos at the same time, so they both get a view. Like, that would solve the whole problem if the viewers just did a little bit more effort themselves, like just a tiny little bit more effort themselves, instead of just yelling at YouTubers all day like on Twitter. Like, come on, there's so much, you know, like, why get so mad at YouTubers making reaction videos when you can just easily give the person a view anyway? Like, it's so easy, it's so easy. Just solve it this way. I think I've solved ReactGate, guys. Don't, like, this is sarcastic, please don't come after me. I don't have Twitter anyway, so, you know, you can chirp all you want. Like, come on. It just seems all this drama. It just seems so pointless sometimes. Like, I understand, like, it's very important for YouTubers to not get their views stolen. But at the same time, would you have gotten those views anyway? Like, I think Hassan had some good points as well. Like, watching a video from a smaller channel helps, put traffic towards that smaller channel, especially if the video is old and it has been sitting at like a steady view count. That video wasn't going to get picked up by the algorithm and given more views and stuff, like, so it's not necessarily like stolen views in that sense. It's a whole controversy. I don't really care that much, but it did stick with me a little bit because because it turned into something huge. Yeah, and then then I think all that's left is the reflection exercise. Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it quickly because I do want to go to sleep. But I do want to do it now, and I'll like film the plant update tomorrow. Let's see. I'm just gonna put the mic over here, and see if we can find this. Oh yeah, this is interesting. So this was about the old Metabots roleplay as well. So let's see if we can record it. Yes. Yeah, so this is very interesting. Is because this was I think the day after. So I was reading, so I was rereading some of that old writing, and what I was realizing is that some of this old writing that I'd done, I was subconsciously rewriting my trauma to be more pleasant. So, for example, what would have happened is I would have had a traumatic situation, and I would have reimagined the situation, but with different like characters, I guess, like different dialogue and different outcomes to kind of cope with it in that way. And back when I was writing it, I had no idea that that was what I was doing. But when I was rereading it, I was having fun rereading, but when I was rereading certain aspects of that, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like rewriting stuff. Like I was able to recognize it now that I had dug up all these like suppressed memories. So that was that was interesting, but it was definitely interesting. Yeah, so I'll just like go into this. If you remember, if you want to know exactly like how to do this exercise, I explained it in the last video, but I think it's pretty self-explanatory as well. So yeah, the occurrence was that I reread some old writing of mine that I now know to be trauma rewrites. I didn't understand what I was writing back then, or why I felt so compelled to write it, and looking back at it now stood up a lot for me. So, thoughts were, maybe I'm not a romantic, which is related to fear, sadness and shame. And then this is something I do as well, is when I struggle, I sometimes like imagine my characters talking to me so that they can reassure me. And this was one of those instances. So I was like thinking, maybe I'm not a romantic after all. And then Rokes, I imagine Rokes saying, no, you are a romantic, just traumatized as well. Which then relates to sadness. Just because something doesn't feel bad doesn't mean it feels good. This is also a big one that, Rokes likes to remind me of. This one is tied to shame and sadness. I wish I could have this. Sadness and shame. Good grief, it's exactly like that. Just with a loving partner, but it's exactly the same. Fear. It makes so much sense now. Sadness, fear and shame. So this would have been like writing myself in romantic situations with a loving partner instead of a not so loving partner, which is what my trauma is related to. Emotions. I don't want to like Sorry about like leaving you in the dark like that, but I don't feel like right now is the time to share it. I'll share it later. I think, maybe, I don't know. I'll share it if it feels right, and when the time feels right. Yeah, emotions. My fear was at a 7. My sadness was at an 8, and my shame was at a 7 as well. Symptoms: tears, trying desperately to hold them back, and at the same time wanting to let them go as well. So like really fighting with those tears. Not sure how to let them go either. Like I was, this is like years of I can't cry, and then trying to rewrite that into it's okay, I'm allowed to cry, and struggling with that. I felt pressure in my stomach. I was trembling, tense muscles, frowning, clenched jaw, unsteady breathing. Then to acknowledge my feelings, I wrote down a whole lot. I wrote down, I'm allowed to feel scared. It's scary to think how much influence they still have, how deeply they hurt me, and that I'm still coping with it after almost a decade. I'm also allowed to feel scared at the uncertainty and the amount of what I can only describe as Stockholm Syndrome-like behaviour I displayed. Not just in my writing, but also in my thinking. It penetrated my mind and corrupted everything I thought I knew about myself. I was begging for it, seeking it out, all to try to silence that feeling of discomfort. I rewrote it to be as palatable as possible, but that is all that it is. It is a rose-colored filter over those painful memories. I'm allowed to feel sadness too. I'm allowed to feel sad that I went through that. I'm allowed to feel sad that I can't have a romantic connection, because even though I don't want it, it's been described and it has been promised to me as the best thing in the world, and is the only thing and the only way to have genuine, deep human connection. I'm allowed to mourn that lost expectation, that idea of my future, even if it was never my dream or my wish. It was still part of me. I wish I could be that close to someone and enjoy it. I wish I could relax and feel okay. I'm allowed to feel that too, and the shame that comes with that as well. I'm allowed to feel ashamed for not wanting to be myself, and I'm allowed to feel ashamed for trying to change myself. I'm allowed to feel ashamed for being aromantic too. I'm allowed to feel everything I feel, regardless of if it makes sense or not. So yeah, I was feeling a lot, but that acknowledgement it's just so important to me. Like it's been so very helpful. Like really accepting and feeling through these feelings and accepting the parcel from the postman has been so helpful, like ridiculously helpful, because I'm no longer trying to fight my feelings so much, or like trying to make sense of my feelings so much. My feelings are just allowed to be feelings. And that sounds a little bit weird, but I used to only accept my feelings if they made sense. Like if it made sense for me to be sad, then I was allowed to be sad. But if it didn't make sense for me to be sad, then I was not allowed to be sad. And I would fight that feeling of sadness so much and for so long, and it was very, very tiring. And it didn't help me at all, because the sadness just kept coming back. It's just like the fear and like everything. My behaviour is I prayed about it in the short term, and then in the long term is I filled out a chart about it, and I was able to channel those emotions, describe them, and feel through them. Then as a consequence of the praying, a lot of emotions rose up, and as a consequence of the writing them down, the emotions dissipated, and feeling them through especially, that's when they dissipated. Because I took on the parcel, and the postman left. I am beating this metaphor into your mind. Sorry. For analyzed thoughts and different thoughts, I was just like, I wasn't sure if I felt up for it at that point, so I didn't do it. And that's also okay. Like, it doesn't, if I sometimes do this because for me the most important part is this acknowledge section. So if I've done that, I don't necessarily have to rewrite my thoughts and analyze them. Like I do it because it's helpful, but it's not the most helpful part for me. So because I have a lot of experience with it already because I've done a lot of cognitive behavioral therapy. So yeah, it's I always like it's an important part, but it's not the most important part for me. Then for give thanks. I'm thankful for God's grace and mercy throughout all of this mess. I'm thankful I'm not alone, even if it feels like that sometimes. I'm thankful I have my characters. I'm thankful that there's nothing wrong with being aromantic. I'm thankful that I'm allowed to be myself. I'm thankful I get to feel my emotions now instead of pushing them down. I'm thankful I'm here. I'm thankful I'm alive. And yeah, I think that's as good as a moment as any to end this video. Thank you so much for being along for the ride, and I'm so excited to show this one, and I'm actually proud of this one because I like the way that this one turned out. So yeah, have a great weekend, guys, and keep on sketching, I guess. Goodbye, subscribe, goodbye if you want to, subscribe, bye. I uploaded a video yesterday, and 99% of people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. We did it, boys! We won! We won YouTube!